Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the RationalInvestor.com's daily brief recap. Woohoo! Party! Oh my! So excited. Brian's a nut. Anyway, today is Friday. Where are we? 18th of December. Less than a week away. Well, I sure hope you got all your Christmas shopping done. Less than a week to Jupiter Saturn cross. OK coin few forwards I think expire on the 25th. Probably some other forwards as well. Earth, Venus, Uranus, with Mars also in there too, Andre pointed out, which I was quite surprised about. Mick thrown in the mix. I have a feeling there's a bit of an energy release date somewhere over here. And then, of course, tax loss selling orgy. If you're going to sell and, if you're not going to want to have to pay capital gains on gains in 2021, in case they change the tax code, you better sell before 29th. Actually, I got a notice saying 29th was my last day. So, everything's all set up. My hunch, though, as I was sort of telling the good folks here, is the small cap market, the junior market, the value side of the market is really outperforming right now. The senior market, meh, probably subject to a lot of this because the prices have moved up so much. But I do see quite a rotation going on into junior stocks. We do play a lot of junior stocks at TRI, so as a result... had a lot of positions move up pretty damn aggressively recently, so I suppose that's one good thing. It's almost got to the point where I'm a little embarrassed because the rates of return are getting just nuts. I hope those guys, they don't ramp this up so much that the public starts getting angry at the capitalists and they want blood. But we'll see. I do kind of think that trend's going to continue on into the new year. And then, ironically enough, those names that were beaten down for tax loss selling, a lot of them actually get bid up at the beginning of the year because that tax loss selling pressure abates. So, as always in the market, man, it's never a dull moment. I mean, you see oil prices are zooming back up. Does that make any sense at all? Oh, well. I think the message that the breadth indicator here is telling us is that the market never really went egregiously overbought. And what I was kind of suggesting to my audience is, we focus in on low share count stories where the insiders are long, no or little debt. If they can, have decent looking earnings and growing earnings. So as a result, our little universe seems to be doing rather well right now. But a good chunk of the market is just not that happy. I think the consensus is something like 70-80% of S&P 500 stocks are actually kind of technically bankrupt. They're just limping along, carrying along a whole bunch of bad debt. So... if you can find those little bright spots, wow, the market sure isn't rewarding. And then also think too, like, what's the future going to look like? I see lots of robotics, see lots of sort of juxtapositions of robotic tools and human experience, whether they be healthcare or human services. And the flying drone things, Jesus, those things are hot. Obviously, cryptocurrency, right? Yeah, a lot of you are super stoked about crypto, and I think it is one of those big growth drivers. So that should be music to your ears. But if you're not in one of those sort of growth industries right now, market's pretty grim. Also, surprisingly, but surprising to myself, but I'm a trader, so if trade setups come in, I've been squawking to you guys about silver recently. Been hunting a whole bunch of names, and there was one particular silver stock. I think it's like the biggest silver stock around. That went and actually put in a pretty good looking trade setup and went and pulled the trigger. So I'm long silver now again. Ay, caramba. I am long a whole bunch of junior VCIM names in the metal in arena. So by default, I'm going to be long them. But I noticed that like it's a lot of the base metal names, and are really exotic metals like that fluorspar, what goes into fluorite. They seem to just be rocking it right now. So maybe that explains why I like silver so much as opposed to like gold. So a few bright spots. Other than that, rest of the market's kind of malaise, and even all the big stocks, they all look very malaisey. So, U.S. dollar index. It's interesting. We have now hit this AB equals CD, and it's also an 88.6 level off of this 3-year range. So we're just, ironically enough, we're just now actually coming back down into the original bottom that was put in on the U.S. dollar index. Isn't that funny? Here is that big celestial event, and of course things like tax loss selling windows, all that. I do like some sort of pivot through here, but this is the same thing as always. I'm usually right, but I'm usually early. My hunch is there is some sort of pivot through all this here, so that's what I'll be watching for. All the stories, everything that I hear, whether it be like macroeconomic guys, whether it be history of trading through Democrat presidents, whether it be long-term generational cycles, everything is saying that U.S. dollar bottoms here, global economy starts contracting. We'll see. Only time will tell. Interesting how we got a little move up to new highs there the other day, but then boom, stocks are seeing selling today. Keep in mind, I think it's a quadruple witching day today, which means lots of futures, currencies, indexes, all that kind of stuff expires. Usually what ends up happening is most of the business is done on the Thursday, and then Friday is just a quiet day. So maybe that's sort of what's happened here on stocks. Same thing on US dollar. Yesterday was the big day. Today's a quiet day. Kind of the same thing on the bonds. You can see the gold broke out yesterday. Today's a quiet day. And like I said, silver, I like the look of even the weekly charts now sure seem to be setting something up. So go figure. Remember I had said earlier, small caps, value name, just killing the big cap stocks. Look at the small caps, just on fire here. And the funny thing is the big caps, I think we have they used to be called the FANG. I don't know what they're called now, Mega or whatever. They're not doing anything. Look at Google. Looks like a piece of crap here. Microsoft did put in an engulfing bar. It had a bit of a rally, but now it seems to be stalling out. Amazon, I thought, actually looked like it was putting in a pretty good looking W here, but you can see, kind of like all these markets, little head fake up, and actually I had one short ETF proxy that I had on the books. I traded a Q reversal off it. This little pop up above here stopped me out, jerks. And now market's all floundering again. Go figure. I'll strap the trade back on. Actually, that's this right here, right? Broke it. I walked away. Might be carving out another key reversal. Who knows? My hunch is I'm probably going to be hunting another setup here along recently, along the not too distant future here. But broke to new lows. The S&P broke to new highs, so I just hopped off the shorts. No big deal. So, lots of little ones popping up. In fact, actually, we have one site, OG, does fundamental presentations. One of his stocks is just about doubled here. So that's just over the past month or so. Actually, be curious to see whether we got a fill. I got orders all up in this area, so out of the corner of my eye, I'm just sort of watching to see whether I get fills here. Let's see. What a great testament to TRI community. One of the modules that we teach in our level 1 program is fundamental analysis. It's kind of not really realistic to teach you the whole damn thing in just 1 week, but we do give you a framework to sort of start building your sort of, okay, if I'm interested in this space, where am I going to go? Top down, bottom up. And we give you all the basic criteria of how you should measure all this stuff. And Jamie's, taking the ball. He pretty much does exactly the stuff that we teach in the course. Maybe a little bit more emphasis on the revenue side for his actual picks, which I think only serves him well. Certainly can't hurt the equation. And I mean, the proof of the pudding's in the eating. I mean, look at that image. I've said this before. I mean, we don't really reinvent the wheel at TRI. And nobody you see on social media or anything like that really reinvents any of this stuff. It's just, there are rules to play by if you want to find half-decent ideas to invest in. And there are definitely things to avoid. And then, of course, if you can, really lucky, juxtapose great-looking fundamental story, revenue structure, insider ownership, etc., with good-looking price charts, well, this kind of stuff happens. So, big thank you to Jamie. And he had another idea that he shared with us, kind of secretly in the lounge. And of course, as soon as I saw it, the good part about what Jamie does is he identifies really good ideas. And we always say a good trade is a good trade is a good trade. So I look at the idea, I look at the fundamentals, I look at the price chart, and I go, well, this is a no-brainer, and I just went and loaded up. So we'll see how this goes. The ideal scenario would be to actually get these double fills here and then take that original capital that I invested in Jamie and go and buy another Jamie name. But I liked his idea so much I just went and bought it. And oh, by the way, this was another one of Jamie's ideas that, look at that chart. We bought here, sold here. So, Mr. Jamie, I would kindly wish to subscribe to your newsletter. Thank you very much. And you can just send me the bill in the mail. Oh, goodness. So, you can see it's kind of a mixed bag. Some up, some down. Because we like to focus in on certain, specific criteria. I think we're doing relatively well. I mean, speaking of, criteria, look at this thing. I fumbled this trade, but I do remember squawking to, all about buying here. I love this story, and for some fucking reason, if anything, this is a great example where, sometimes when you micromanage, you end up screwing yourself out at just great trades. So instead of selling half on a double, I sold the whole damn thing thinking, okay, well, I'll just reload zone this at the gaps. And the market just said, well, sorry, pal. I don't care what you think. Look at that chart. If anything, if you're a crypto enthusiast, that's a good chart to see. Because what it means is that the higher-ups, the big people in this world, they're getting in. They bought the crypto story, hook, line, and sinker. This is a bank. Ugh. Anyway, great-looking market. And there's just cool little ideas popping off right, left, and center. I mean, they're just, oh my goodness, they're everywhere. Lots and lots of W's. So I'm certainly not want for ideas. The only problem here is I don't want to get too sucked into the long side. So going slowly, very reluctantly adding. Like I said, if I see a name as good as son of a bitch, look at that. It's already up. That's like 25% from where I bought it. Right on. Woohoo! I'm not going to tell you. I'll wait for Jamie to give his presentation. But man, that's a sweet ass trade. But there are a lot of cool ideas. Like here's, this is a good example of a little VCIMer we picked up in the summer. I mean, everything that we do at TRI. Hopefully, all of you look and see that just big honking W. And up she goes. And now, actually, we have like bot setups, and the bot setup is perfectly off that level. It's projecting up into here. And you tell me, does this thing have any more room to run up? I mean, look at this. This is all open air. These are all gaps that will probably eventually all be filled in. So again, that's this. These guys are in the this funny. They're like the only fluorite mine in the world, or in the Western Hemisphere, or some crazy idea. And I just want to be long and stay long, and just, as long as I got free stock, I'll just keep selling halves on doubles, blah, blah, blah. All right, so back to our story here. Once upon a time in a land far, far away, small caps are just killing it. As for crypto and the corn, obviously we had huge run-ups, and I've been banging out these kind of tweets. Really interesting how we banged up into a really cool Gann angle level there. Also, two harmonic potential reversal zones. Also, parking garages. So, I think it makes sense why we stalled out up here. Also, two foggy buggy. 1.618, huge alt ABCDs. Although this thing would have to go and basically put a big M in here and break down off of that level for me to believe that was what was going on there. But 113's off the old high. That's that 1 to 8 angle I showed you off of this chart. That's that same sort of thinking extension. Whoop. That one. That 1 to 8 angle off the old highs usually lines up nicely with 113s. So, it makes sense. We're running into traction here. It makes perfect sense to me. Great to see some of these little alts, but maybe we'll talk about that later. So what I've sort of suggested here, and it sort of feels like we're all building towards some sort of big apex climax here into this crazy Jupiter-Saturn cross. And what a coincidence if we actually look at this huge run-up, and then, and what's really freaky about this is I didn't even draw this triangle on my own volition. I just used the trend lines off of these highs and these lows. And lo and behold, look what happened here. I mean, that's incredible. What concerns me about this image, though, is this line right here. Do you know what that line is? That's if you're a bull, that is the ugliest line in the whole fucking world. Doesn't look like an ugly line, does it? But if you're a big bull, you want the market above this goddamn line and do not lose it. Why? Because that line is part of this big pattern. Yuck. This is what's called a megaphone pattern. And usually when you get 3 tags of this trend line, now the question here, and there's been a lot of debate, is this 1, 2, 3, and that was the trade? It could be. But, like 1, 2, here we are again. There's that megaphone. And really, that dump actually is not out of the question for me because this downtrend line has not been tagged 3 times. I don't think that happens, but, if you do come in and buy Bitcoin up top here, you have to understand what kind of risk window you're looking at. I mean, this literally is the reload zone way down here. Big fat round numbers, interesting. Ultimately, I do like 10,000 as big fat round number. I think we get dips below 10,000 into maybe 6,000, 7,000. Kind of the same way back here through this at this time. we figured that the cost of production was about 2,500, and you notice it bottomed at a little bit above 3,000. So not quite there. Then we sort of said on this go round there again, new cost of production was going to be twice that, or about 5,000. Gee whiz, there's 5,000. We actually got all the way down to 3,900 there. So next go round, cost of production is probably going to be 10,000. Could we have swims somewhere between 5 and 10,000 through that? I think so. Seems completely logical. Does that happen tomorrow? Actually, I don't think so. I think that actually might take... It might... the interesting thing is, and this is the freaky part about this. This date here... Or, no, not that date. This date here to this date here was exactly 1 year. I mean, like, literally to the date. And what's fascinating is this low here to this high here is almost exactly 2 years to the date. Is that a coincidence? I don't know. So if that's the case, then I'm kind of thinking, and I don't know whether I did it off of this chart. Oh, goodness, too many charts. My head's going to explode. Yeah, this one. So my thinking is that we kind of are moving along. It seems to me like, about a 2-year pattern. Remember, where was it? This bottom here to this top here is exactly 2 years. I mean, that can't be a coincidence. Yeah. And then, like I said, this here to this here was exactly 1 year. So there's some sort of pattern here. And if you actually go back over the years, you can actually see it switch from like a bull pattern to a bear pattern to a bull pattern to a bear pattern to a bull pattern. That's cool. The only problem with this bull pattern, though, is you can see, it oscillates, right? I'm up. Let's take this one here. So this is a bull pattern. I'm going to consolidate first sideways and then have my face rip. Or let's take this one. This was consolidate first and then my face rip. You can't see this, of course, right? We have to go like this for you to see that. See? Consolidate, face rip phase. So, same thing here. Consolidate, which was this, and face rip phase. That. So, right now, I think we just had the face rip. They've kind of front-loaded this. And then remember, I don't think this was their plan. The people that were in charge, I think they actually expected to be in charge another 4 years, but they were politely told, sorry, you have to leave. So I get the distinct impression they're like, fuck it, man. We might as well juice this thing as hard as we can right now. And lo and behold, all the people that like, Gann angles were banging into a speed bump. So you should all know how to act through speed bumps. And I do kind of like 1 to 8 and 8 to 1. I wouldn't be surprised if that's sort of our trading range for this next calendar year. Wouldn't surprise me at all, folks. I know you don't want to hear that, but anyway. I wonder at the end of this bull cycle, then we have to actually go into a bear cycle of a couple of years. So, oh well, I sure hope you enjoyed that rally. We were looking for this. We've been looking for this for like the entire period. I thought we were going to stall up here around, 16, 17,000 or so. Hey, we got a nice little treat. They really juiced her up here. Looking for further upside appreciation now? Ooh, I don't know, guys. I think you're asking a little much. But, oh well, we'll see what happens. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. Before this event, there might still be more gas in the tank, and interesting how this was the 1 to 8. This is the 1 to 4. So that would be a next logical stop. We also have a 1 to 3 off the March line. So a stab up into that 26, 27,000 into that end of that event. Well, that's back to this conversation. It's totally possible. But that's predicated on the market accepting back above this megaphone line. It's got to accept back above here, right? And then that sets the stage for our next bot trade. You can actually see how the 25 level off of this consolidation low is actually setting that trade up nicely. But it's contingent on us not fucking losing this goddamn megaphone level and crapping out here. So stay tuned, folks. You can see through the New York kill zone this morning, they took a real stab at this thing, and then that was a trap, and they brought it back. And like I said, usually, and this is the tweet that I put out, usually these things resolve about 2/3 the apex. So it's like total nail biting time right now. And I don't really want to take any new positions or any new trades on this kind of thinking here until we're so close to the event now that it's sort of like, okay, well, let's maybe just let this thing happen, see where it goes. I mean, if you got balls of steel and this thing sets up nicely, position yourself. But I got a funny feeling that, what is that? That's actually Sunday, so right after our broiler chicken show. And then Monday morning, I think that's where you're going to get your signal. And that makes sense too. Because the adults, they're not going to want to miss out on this move. There's no way they're going to let that happen through the weekend. Just be forewarned. Through the weekend here, I could very easily see some washes of both sides. Very volatile. And try not to get sucked into emotional setups. Just go slowly. Hunt your setups. Probably lower time frames. Don't take no wooden nickels. You can see wicks and tails like to be eaten. Candle body highs for trade location. I've even, take a screenshot of this. I've even identified where I think the key sort of resistance zones are here. There. And candle body lows there. Right? Okay. I think I'll probably leave the rant at that because this is obviously the main focus right now. Feel free to pop on the site. We talked lots crypto and Bitcoin, altcoins and stuff as well through the daily brief. But for the purposes of this conversation, I think I'll just leave it at that for now. You can see if this resolves bullishly, that's probably going to drag these guys higher. Who knows? Actually, 2/3 apex. We're probably coming up. You can see the resolution is probably somewhere in here. Actually, that's interesting. So that puts us well into the new year. A little bit different time frame. That's 4 hour. That's a daily. So okay, rant's over. Have yourselves a great day. Hopefully we'll see some of you for the broiler chicken show on the weekend. All the best, and bye for now.